From 2000 to 2020, Lake County has seen a decline in new development tax revenue growth of 90%, from over $6 million a year in 2000 to just over 600,000, precisely 605,000 projected for 2020. Adjusted for inflation, that's a 94% decrease in new growth development. That should be concerning to all of us. The Lake County property tax levy has increased 100% from 2000 at $80 million to 2020 with $162 million. And when you adjust that for inflation, it's a better picture, but we still outpaced inflation by 30%, from 125 million to 162 million. We have residents living in our county, especially in my district. We have lower income areas and lower valued homes. They're paying 5% of the value of their home in property taxes, and they're on fixed limited budgets. And they can't afford to stay in an area that is outpacing inflation. There's areas in the rest of the county who have actually worse situations than mine. Member Kyle, you preside over an area where the property taxes are in some cases almost 10% of property value. Member Cunningham, you too, you have residents in your district that are between 7 and 10% of their property taxes, and they can't afford continual increases. Lake County is projected to receive additional revenue starting next year. We'll have money coming in for transportation. At some point, we're going to be discussing the marijuana tax, which will give us the ability to collect taxes on marijuana revenue, even in municipalities, which is unique to us, where we've in the past only been able to accept in the unincorporated areas. What I'm asking for is $605,000. That is 0.1% of our entire budget. Cuts to services are not necessary for this. Lake County government has not lowered its levy going back at least 20 years, and that's as far back as my data goes. This is an opportunity to show residents that we care about the current trajectory of taxes. Think about this for a second. Anyone who owns a home, every $48 of property taxes annually represents about $1,000 in home equity. So that means $480 represents $10,000 in home equity. And $4,800, the difference between the taxes in my district and in Pleasant Prairie, is about $4,800. That represents about $100,000 in home equity, because when the mortgage lenders approve the buyers, they do it based on their debt-to-income ratio, taking into account all of the monthly expenses, and that includes the property taxes. My proposal, admittedly, means almost nothing on the property tax bill. If you do the math, which I have, a $605,000 reduction to our existing tax base represents only $1.90. It's not a lot. But what it is, it's a first step to prove to our taxpayers that we are committed to making a change, because that's what they told us in 2018. I know that's what they told me. I don't know what they told the other board members on this board, but they told me property taxes are the biggest concern. Lake County has done a fantastic job of leading by example. Tobacco 21 was a great example of something. Lake County took the charge and other governments followed suit. We also have the ability to educate our public exactly how, and I'm going to start with just a couple of points here. No one really knows what $1 million means to a taxpayer once you split it up. So I broke out the numbers here. $1 million represents, in county spending, represents only $3.14 to the taxpayer. On a $250,000 home, excuse me, let me state that. $10 million represents $31. I'm not asking for millions. I'm not asking to slash and burn. I'm asking for a reasonable stance where, for the first time in at least 20 years, we've said to the taxpayer, all that investment you've done in infrastructure to make new development possible, you're going to start getting a return on that now. Because until today, every dollar you've spent in supporting the maintenance and infrastructure of Lake County to attract new business, you've never received the benefit of the tax reduction. I told my voters in my district that we need new development and business expansion to help shoulder the burden to the taxpayers. And what I didn't realize is that we've never done that. New development has always been added on top of the pie. It's never been added into the pie. So respectfully, I hope I will still be asking, obviously, for this amendment, and I hope you can support it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have comments on this. Yes, Member Barr.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. It's extremely disappointing to hear some of my colleagues say some of the things they did. There's not one thing in anything I said that was misleading, not even slightly. Fully admitting that this represents $1.90 a year to a $250,000 home. Member Didich said a couple months back, and I think it was echoed by the chair, I reject anyone saying that even a couple of dollars is not worth looking at. What we're doing here on this amendment is asking staff, this is what we'd like to see. And if they come up with programs that say, you know what, we tried, but we need $110,000 more than that. We need $270,000 more than that because we have this issue. But we are asking because our residents asked us. You know, to the board members whose incomes might exceed inflation, it might be an easy decision to vote no. Too many in my district have salaries that go the opposite direction of where inflation goes. And highly disappointed to hear some of the comments. Of course, I'll be voting yes.
Thank you.